Welcome, rare gems. What does it truly mean to be a queen? Is it the throne, the crown, or the titles people hand out? For the Sigma female, the answer lies somewhere far deeper. She does not need golden chairs or applause to know her worth. Her power is not borrowed, it is created from within. She rises each day knowing her value is not tied to recognition, but to how she chooses to live her life. The Sigma female is not moved by the usual measures of status. While others chase validation through trends, approval, or the comfort of belonging, she builds a life rooted in independence and clarity. She has mastered the rare art of being content with who she is, even when the world tries to push her into boxes that never fit. That kind of freedom is what makes her reign untouchable. Think of her as the woman who knows the strength of walking her own path. She may be misunderstood by those who think leadership requires attention or dominance, but in truth, her quiet resilience is what commands respect. She does not have to prove herself, she simply is. If you carry this spirit, take pride in it. The unfiltered truth is that you are not waiting for a throne to define you. You already are the queen of your own story, and the world takes notice not because you demand it, but because you embody it. That is real power. Let's dive into it, the rare gems. Number 1. Their resilience comes from scars, not applause. That line alone carries a truth many overlook. People often think strength is built from encouragement, support, or recognition, but that is only part of the story. For Sigma females, real strength is born out of trials that left marks. It is the kind of strength you cannot learn from books or motivational speeches. It comes from lived experience. Think of someone who has walked through betrayal, rejection, or deep disappointment. The first reaction is pain, but once the sting fades, something stronger takes shape. A Sigma female knows what it means to patch herself together after life has tried to break her. That process leaves scars, and those scars become reminders that she can survive what others think is impossible. This is why her resilience feels unshakable. It is not borrowed from family, friends, or social approval. It is not copied from someone else's blueprint. It comes from personal battles fought in silence. While others rely on applause to keep moving, she has trained herself to keep going even when no one is watching. That is what separates her. Take everyday life as an example. Imagine two people working in the same office. One thrives only when praised by their boss. The other has already learned to push through challenges because she remembers nights when nobody cheered, and yet she still showed up the next day. The second person will always last longer. That is the Sigma female. Hardship shaped her. The disappointments she carried taught her patience. The betrayals she endured taught her to trust her own judgment. The struggles she faced taught her that peace is earned, not handed out. These lessons cannot be transferred or imitated. They are stamped into her character through experience. So when you see a Sigma female moving with quiet strength, know it is not surface confidence. It is history. It is survival. It is the unfiltered truth that scars, not applause, are what build resilience. And if you're walking through your own hardships right now, take courage. Those moments that hurt today may become the very proof of your strength tomorrow. Your scars will one day remind you that you did not just survive. You grew into someone unbreakable. Number 2. A Sigma female rules not with position, but with presence. That statement flips the usual idea of power upside down. Most people are taught that authority comes from titles, money, or status. Yet the Sigma female proves that the most lasting influence is not tied to what you own, but to who you are. Her authority does not come from sitting at the head of a table. It comes from the way she carries herself in everyday life. Think about how some people demand respect with loud voices or constant reminders of their status. Now think about someone who does not need to announce anything. People listen to her because her words carry weight. They sense her depth and know she is not speaking just to fill silence. That is how a Sigma female moves through the world. Her presence alone is enough to shift how people think and act, even without titles or positions to back her up. You see it in ordinary situations. In a workplace meeting, the loudest person may try to dominate the conversation. But when the Sigma female speaks, the room quiets because her clarity cuts through the noise. In a group of friends, she is not the one chasing attention, but when advice is needed, everyone turns to her because they know she sees beyond the surface. Her influence grows naturally because it is rooted in authenticity. People are drawn to her not because she demands loyalty, but because she embodies it. They sense she does not play games or wear masks, and that trust becomes magnetic. This is why she does not need a throne. A throne suggests power given from outside. Her power comes from within, and that is why it cannot be taken away. In life, we have all met people who hold positions yet inspire no real respect. Their power exists only on paper. The Sigma female is the opposite. Even without titles, she is remembered, respected, and followed. That is what it means to rule with presence. If you are a Sigma female, remember this truth. Your worth is not tied to a role or a title. The clarity you carry, the depth you live with, and the quiet confidence you show are more powerful than any crown could ever be. Number 3. She is both predator and protector. That balance is what makes the Sigma woman unlike anyone else. Most people lean too heavily in one direction. Some are always defensive, constantly protecting, but rarely stepping forward to claim what they deserve. Others are always aggressive, chasing every opportunity but never knowing when to stop and preserve what is already valuable. The Sigma woman has mastered both sides. She knows when to hunt and when to guard what matters. Think about it in everyday life. At work, she is the one who goes after opportunities with focus and strategy. She does not waste time chasing every distraction. She waits, studies the terrain, and then makes her move at the right moment. That is the predator in her. But once she secures something meaningful, whether it is her peace of mind, her family, or her goals, she becomes the protector. She will not let anyone tamper with it. She knows some things are too precious to risk. You can also see this balance in her relationships. If she senses dishonesty or manipulation, the predator in her cuts it off quickly. She will not allow anyone to feed on her energy. Yet, when she finds loyalty and love, she fiercely guards it. She protects those who matter to her with the same intensity she uses to chase her ambitions. That is why she is both feared and deeply respected. The Sigma woman understands timing better than most. The predator knows patience is as important as action. She does not strike just because she can. She waits until it is necessary. The protector in her knows that not every battle is worth fighting. Sometimes, the greatest act of strength is to safeguard what is already hers instead of chasing what does not align. This dual nature is what gives her an edge. People who only know how to take end up losing everything they once had. People who only know how to protect never grow beyond their comfort zone. The Sigma woman does both with precision. She builds, she defends, she claims, and she shields, and that is what makes her powerful. She knows when to hunt and when to guard, and in that balance lies her true strength. Number 4. She does not need to dominate people to prove power. Her strength is not loud, and it is not tied to control over others. The Sigma woman knows that real authority is not something you force on people. It is something people recognize on their own. Her very presence challenges false authority without her lifting a finger. Think about it. We have all seen people who scramble for control. They raise their voices, flash their titles, or remind others of their status. But the more they try to assert themselves, the more it becomes obvious that their power is shaky. Then comes the Sigma woman. She does not compete in that way. She simply exists in her truth, and in doing so she exposes the weakness in false authority. Picture a workplace setting. A boss may try to intimidate the team with strict orders, but everyone knows the respect is built on fear, not admiration. Then there is the Sigma woman who may not even hold a formal position of power. Yet when she speaks with clarity, people listen. When she raises a question that others are too afraid to ask, the authority of the so-called leader begins to crumble. She did not challenge directly, but her authenticity revealed what was missing. You can also see it in personal relationships. A manipulative person may try to control a group or a partner with charm or pressure. The Sigma woman does not fight to take their place, but her refusal to play the game shows everyone else the truth. Her calmness makes the manipulation look desperate. That is why she is so disarming. She does not fight for dominance. Yet her strength strips away illusions. Her influence works like a mirror. She reflects reality so clearly that those relying on false authority can no longer hide. Without raising her voice or demanding recognition, she changes the entire dynamic. People trust her because they sense there is no pretense. That trust is more powerful than fear-based control. This is why the Sigma woman never has to prove herself through domination. Her power is already felt, and it quietly shakes anything built on lies. While others cling to crowns and titles, she stands firm in her truth, and that alone challenges the structures around her. Number 5. A Sigma woman's throne is invisible because it is built on self-mastery. She does not need golden chairs or titles to establish her reign. Her rule is not something displayed for the world to applaud. It is something deeply rooted inside her. You cannot dethrone a woman who has conquered herself because there is no crown for others to snatch and no pedestal for others to topple. Her power is carried within her, steady and untouchable. Think of everyday situations. In a workplace, many people compete for promotions, fighting for recognition and scrambling for authority. Their confidence rises and falls with their titles. A Sigma woman, however, does not play that fragile game. Even without the highest position, she moves with calm assurance because she has mastered her emotions, her decisions, and her values. That inner mastery makes her more influential than someone who only leans on status. Or take relationships. Some people lose themselves completely when love enters or exits their lives. Their identity shifts depending on who stays and who leaves. The Sigma woman feels deeply too, but she never loses her grounding. She has already done the inner work of knowing who she is, so no rejection or loss can dismantle her. That kind of self-possession makes her rare, because she cannot be controlled through fear of abandonment or bribed with shallow promises. Her invisible throne is made of discipline, resilience, and clarity. She knows how to quiet her own doubts, how to rise after setbacks, and how to choose peace over chaos. When others panic, she steadies herself. When others lose direction, she trusts her inner compass. That ability to govern herself makes her far more powerful than those who try to govern others, but cannot even manage their own impulses. This is why a Sigma woman cannot be dethroned. You can take her job, but not her purpose. You can reject her, but not diminish her worth. You can misunderstand her, but not weaken her foundation. She has already conquered the hardest territory anyone could face, and that is the self. Once a woman owns that level of mastery, her throne may be invisible to the world, but it is eternal within her. Number 6. A Sigma woman's power does not come from people cheering her on. It comes from her ability to keep moving even when no one is watching. That is the quiet strength that makes her different. While many people need constant recognition to stay motivated, she has trained herself to keep going regardless of applause. Her drive comes from within, and that is why it cannot be switched off by silence or indifference. Think about how common it is to see people slow down the moment appreciation stops. At work, some only give their best when their boss notices. In relationships, some only remain consistent when they are constantly praised. But the Sigma woman moves with a different rhythm. She does not need someone clapping for her progress to know it is real. She sets her own standards and keeps pushing toward them whether or not anyone is paying attention. Consider a real-life picture. Imagine her working late on a project that no one even asked her to do, because she knows it will improve the outcome. No one may thank her for those hours, but the result will speak when the time comes. Or think of her healing after heartbreak. She does not post her pain for sympathy. Instead, she rebuilds quietly, brick by brick, until one day she is stronger than before. The transformation happens without an audience, yet it is undeniable. This is the root of her power. Because she does not rely on external encouragement, she cannot be easily manipulated or discouraged when the crowd is silent. She knows how to walk alone, and that makes her endurance rare. People who depend on constant recognition burn out quickly when it disappears. She, on the other hand, keeps moving steadily because her motivation is tied to her own principles, not public opinion. Her strength proves something important. The most powerful victories are often the ones no one sees. The Sigma woman understands this truth. She does not chase applause because she knows the real reward lies in growth, resilience, and self-mastery. And that is why she always rises. Whether the world notices or not, her progress continues, and in the end, her results speak louder than any cheer ever could. Number 7. She creates her own rules of engagement. The Sigma woman is not guided by what everyone else is doing, nor does she bend to standards that feel shallow or empty. Instead, she builds her own code, and remarkably, the world often bends toward it. That is what separates her from the many who spend their lives adjusting themselves to fit into systems they do not even believe in. She refuses to lower herself to meet the world's shallow expectations. Look at everyday life and you will see the difference clearly. In the workplace, most people adapt themselves to office politics. They flatter the right people, follow trends, and compromise values just to climb ladders that were built by someone else. The Sigma woman moves differently. If she is part of that environment, she sets her own standard of integrity and excellence. At first, it may unsettle those around her, but over time, people begin to respect and even follow her approach. She proves that you can succeed without surrendering yourself to games you do not believe in. Relationships reveal the same truth. Many adjust their boundaries to keep others comfortable, even if it means sacrificing their own peace. The Sigma woman does not. She is clear about what she accepts and what she refuses. Some may call her difficult, but those who value her quickly rise to meet her standards. Without forcing anyone, she naturally reshapes the dynamic. Even in personal growth, she sets her own pace. The world may shout about quick wins and shortcuts, but she knows real progress takes discipline and patience. She would rather walk her own path slowly and with purpose than sprint down a road that leads nowhere. In the end, her results stand out because they are authentic. This ability to create her own rules of engagement is not rebellion for the sake of it. It is wisdom. She understands that following the crowd often means trading away pieces of yourself. She would rather stand firm and let the world adjust, and it always does. People cannot help but recognize the steadiness of someone who lives by her own code. That is the unfiltered truth of the Sigma woman. She does not lower herself to meet the world. She compels the world to rise to her. Number 8. Unlike queens who sit on thrones, the Sigma female builds empires inside her mind first. Long before the world sees her results, she has already imagined them, mapped them out, and prepared herself for the obstacles along the way. Her vision stretches far beyond the present moment, and that is why she rarely moves with the crowd. She is not rushing to catch up because she was already planning while others were still hesitating. Think about how most people approach life. They wait for approval, for conditions to be perfect, or for someone to hand them direction. The Sigma female works differently. She lays the groundwork in her thoughts, sharpening her plans like an architect designs blueprints before a single brick is laid. By the time she takes action, her steps are deliberate and her moves precise. Take the example of a woman starting a business. Many people might dive in because it looks exciting, but without strategy, they burn out quickly. The Sigma female, on the other hand, has already envisioned where she wants to take it. She has thought through the setbacks, the sacrifices, and the systems she needs to put in place. When challenges come, she is not surprised. Her empire was first built in the mind, and that mental foundation keeps her steady while others crumble under pressure. Her vision also outpaces the crowd because she is not limited by what is popular at the moment. Trends come and go, but she thinks years ahead. Imagine a painter who is not copying today's styles, but creating something that will still speak to people decades from now. That is how her mind works. She is not chasing what is temporary. She is laying bricks for something lasting. What makes her so powerful is that this empire of the mind eventually becomes reality. The quiet planning, the long nights of reflection, and the boldness to imagine what others cannot see all come together in results that seem almost impossible to others. By the time the crowd catches on, she is already steps ahead, moving toward her next vision. The Sigma female's strength is not in waiting for a throne to sit on. It is in her ability to build thrones from scratch, starting with a single thought and turning it into something that outlives every trend and every distraction around her. Number 9. The greatest wealth of a Sigma female cannot be measured by material things. Her real treasure lies in the way she lives her life without ever selling her soul to trends or bending to society's shallow expectations. In a world where most people scramble to keep up with whatever is popular, she quietly chooses her own lane, and that independence is priceless. Think about how often people exhaust themselves chasing the next big thing. One year it is a fashion style. The next year it is a business everyone rushes into because it looks like easy money. They invest their time, their peace, and sometimes even their self-worth just to appear relevant. The Sigma female looks at all of this and refuses to let temporary waves control her direction. She understands that once you trade your true self for approval, you have already lost the most valuable thing you own. Picture a woman who decides not to follow a career path simply because it looks impressive on paper. Instead, she builds her own career around what excites her spirit, even if it confuses others at first. People may doubt her, but years later she stands secure, fulfilled and unshaken because she trusted her own vision instead of handing her life over to trends. That is wealth. Her freedom comes from knowing she does not need to play by the same rules as everyone else. This does not mean she rejects everything around her, but rather that she is selective about what enters her life. She chooses relationships based on depth, not convenience. She chooses work that feeds her growth, not just her pockets. She chooses a lifestyle that reflects her values instead of society's checklist. The Sigma female's true riches are hidden in her ability to live with integrity. When everyone else feels drained from pretending, she feels light because she has nothing to prove. When others feel trapped by comparison, she feels free because she never signed that contract in the first place. This is why her presence stands out, not because she is loud, but because she is unbought. In a world where souls are easily traded for trends, hers is not for sale. That quiet wealth is what makes her untouchable. Number 10. Her crown is unseen because it is not given by people. The Sigma female does not wait for the world to hand her recognition or titles. Her crown is forged in the quiet hours of solitude, in the discipline she builds when no one notices, and in her refusal to settle for mediocrity. That is what sets her apart. She rules without ceremony, yet her authority is undeniable. Think about solitude first. Most people run from being alone because silence forces them to face themselves. The Sigma female embraces it. Solitude is where she sharpens her mind, heals from wounds, and plans her next step. It is in those private moments that she builds the kind of clarity others search for in noise. For example, while others spend their evenings chasing distractions, she may spend hers reading, reflecting, or refining her craft. That investment may go unnoticed at first, but in time, it becomes the foundation of her power. Discipline is another jewel in her invisible crown. Success is never built on comfort, and she knows this. She is the type who will keep showing up even on days she feels tired, even when the excitement has faded. Picture someone training for a marathon. Many start strong when the motivation is high, but only those with discipline finish the race. The Sigma female carries that same consistency into every area of life, and that is why she rises above those who rely only on bursts of inspiration. Then there is her refusal to bow to mediocrity. She does not settle for good enough. Whether it is in her work, her relationships, or her personal growth, she demands more from herself and refuses to compromise her standards. Imagine her in a workplace where everyone else cuts corners just to get by. She will not. She holds herself to a higher bar, and eventually that difference sets her apart from the crowd. Her crown may be unseen, but it is more real than any symbol society can place on her head. It is made of solitude, discipline, and an unshakable commitment to excellence. That is why no one can take it away. While others cling to titles that can vanish overnight, the Sigma female carries her throne within her, and her reign is permanent. Number 11. She sees leadership as responsibility, not power. That perspective alone sets her apart from many who chase titles just for the status that comes with them. For a Sigma female, leadership is never about control or domination. It is about accountability, about being someone who takes ownership rather than someone who wants to sit on top. And that is exactly why people trust her more than they trust those who fight for crowns. Think about leaders you have met in everyday life. There are those who want to be seen as the boss. They enjoy giving orders, but when things go wrong, they are the first to shift blame. Then there are those who quietly take responsibility. They do not parade authority, but when challenges come, they step up, shoulder the weight, and make sure no one is left behind. That second type is rare, and the Sigma female belongs in that category. Her view of leadership is simple. If she accepts a role, it means she is prepared to carry the load that comes with it. She does not care about titles, because she knows titles do not automatically make anyone capable. True leadership reveals itself when pressure builds, when mistakes are made, and when difficult decisions must be faced. This is where her steadiness earns respect. Imagine a workplace where everyone is competing for recognition. In the middle of the chaos, the Sigma female is not fighting for attention, but quietly ensuring that things get done. She is the one who stays late to fix what others overlooked, the one who holds the team together when morale is low. People notice that even without her asking, they learn to rely on her because she consistently proves that her focus is on responsibility, not on wearing a crown. That is why trust naturally grows around her. People may admire loud leaders for a while, but admiration fades when words do not match actions. With her, the opposite happens. Respect deepens the more she shows that leadership to her is not a trophy but a duty. And that is the kind of leadership that never needs to be announced. It speaks for itself. Number 12. Unlike many who build identity around external titles, she builds hers on inner certainty. That makes all the difference. The world often teaches us to attach value to things we can lose. A job title, a social role, or even someone's approval can become the center of a person's identity. The problem is that once those things are taken away, the person crumbles. A Sigma female does not live on such fragile ground. Her foundation rests on something deeper, something no one else can hand her or take from her. Think of someone who builds their confidence entirely on a job position. The day they lose that role, they lose themselves too. Now imagine the Sigma female in that same situation. She may feel disappointment, but it will not define her. Why? Because her sense of worth was never locked into that title in the first place. Her confidence comes from her inner certainty, from knowing what she stands for and what she is capable of, regardless of external labels. You can see this strength in everyday relationships as well. Some people build their whole sense of self on being liked, needed, or admired. When rejection comes, they feel destroyed. A Sigma female experiences rejection too, but it does not break her because she never allowed outside approval to be the root of her identity. She knows who she is, even when others fail to see it. That inner anchor keeps her steady while others drift. This is why she is so difficult to shake. Life can take away money, opportunities, or even people she thought would stay forever, but it cannot take away her inner foundation. That is her true wealth. It is like a tree with deep roots. Storms may strip away leaves and branches, but the tree still stands tall because the roots are unshaken. For anyone listening, this is the lesson. If your value is tied only to what the world can give you, then you are living on unstable ground. But if, like the Sigma female, you build your certainty within yourself, no loss, no rejection, and no setback will ever be strong enough to take you down. That is unshakable power. In final words, what makes a queen if not the crown on her head but the strength she carries within? The Sigma female answers that question without needing anyone's approval. Her reign is not about palaces, titles, or recognition. It is about living a life built on truth, resilience, and self-respect. She rules herself first, and that alone sets her apart. The beauty of her journey is that she proves leadership does not always come with loud declarations or constant visibility. It can be quiet, steady, and deeply authentic. She does not ask for a throne because her authority does not depend on one. People trust her because they sense she will never compromise her essence just to be admired. That is why her influence lasts long after the noise around her fades. In a world that pressures women to fit molds and follow patterns, she breaks the cycle by showing that there is power in saying no. There is dignity in choosing peace over performance. There is strength in standing tall even when the world misunderstands you. Every decision she makes is a reminder that real queenship is not about control, but about responsibility and inner balance. So if you recognize pieces of yourself in her, let this be your encouragement. You do not need to chase thrones or fight for crowns. You are already whole. You are already enough. The unfiltered truth is that your worth does not need to be proven. It only needs to be lived. And when you live it fully, no throne could ever measure up to the kingdom you build within yourself. Thank you for watching The Rare Gems, and God bless you.